Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our final webinar in our I think it's our third annual Lubruary. So we've had a great month. This is as I said, our third webinar that we've done. The previous two were great, and they are on our website. So if you want to check those out, we've got them all the recordings up there, and we are recording this one today as well. So we'll add that to the list. But great information has been shared all month. Last week, we got a great look into kind of more of a case study of what's been happening at a CEMEX facility down in Georgia and how they've been able to make a big impact at their facility by just implementing some small improvements to their lubrication practices. So if that's something you're looking to get started, that webinar last week was a really good one and can give you some good advice and maybe some good motivation to try and do the same at your facility. But today we're really excited to have Bill Cornell with Generation Systems. They are the ones who have developed Lubit, which is a lubrication reliability software solution. So I'm sure he'll tell us a little bit more about that. But we're really excited to have him here today to share some information. Before I turn it over to Bill, though, just a couple housekeeping things. We do encourage you all to ask questions throughout the webinar. You can just type those in to your little dashboard that you've got up on your screen. I'll be keeping an eye on those questions, and I'll get them tossed over to Bill as it makes sense. And of course, we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A there as well. So feel free to toss those things along. And again, I am recording it, so if you have to hop off early, or if you've got a colleague that you wish could have been here, you can check that out after the fact. And we are doing this live, so I try to put a little disclaimer in if we have any technical difficulties with audio or internet or anything like that. Just bear with us. We'll try and get the issues resolved as quickly as we can, but that's what comes from doing these things live. So with that, I will stop rambling, and I'm going to turn the screen over to Bill, and Bill will let you take it away, okay?
Okay. Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Sure good to have you here. As Maureen said, I'm Bill Correll, and I want to really just thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this old guy talk. You don't know me, so let me present some little thoughts about me. In a brief overview, I've had a great career. I started out as a radio broadcaster too many years ago. I was the district manager for a very large drug and retailer, and later I was the founding member of the Northwest Academy of Preventive Medicine, and I also served a stint as the president of Medical Computers International. More recently, I negotiated numerous high-tech mergers and acquisition transactions. Yes, I was an investment banker, so please don't hold that against me. But about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I entered your world of industrial maintenance. I had no prior involvement, and I was like a blank slate. But I had no preconceived ideas, so doing what I always did, I worked on, and I studied, and I researched, and observed, and listened. I read maintenance books, magazines, and beginning to attend maintenance conference. But most importantly of all, I talked to maintenance people and reliability engineers, and you guys are great teachers. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. A couple of years into this education, I realized an uncanny familiarity into the past. I'd been here before. It was from my time in medicine early in my career. You see, 30 years ago, if a doctor were to suggest a correlation between diet and exercise and cancer, he was immediately branded as a quack. While reading the Journal of the American Medical Association back then, something really struck me, so much that I clearly remember it to today. It said something like this: some people would have us believe that diet can have an effect on cancer. We're too smart to believe that. Back then, the common mindset and research regarding cancer was a focus on treatment. It would be years until this mindset and focus was expanded to include prevention. Here's another example from the same period. I'm from Seattle. We used to brag it was the safest city in the world to have a heart attack because we'd pioneered the best emergency response program in the world, Medic One. The claim was someone having a heart attack would be in an operating room with their chest cracked within about 15 minutes. The medical community was completely focused on increasing survival after a heart attack, and they were quite successful at it. Yet notably missing was the focus on preventing the heart attack in the first place. What's changed? Just pay attention to any of today's media, TV, radio, magazines, and the web. You will quickly see that the medical community now leads with a proactive approach built on a foundation of improved lifestyles, healthy diets, and regular exercise. Yes, programs similar to Seattle Medics One is now spread across the nation, and cancer treatment has improved significantly. But it's clear, the primary focus has shifted to proactively avoiding negative outcomes in the first place. What the heck does this have to do with maintenance? The primary focus of maintenance seems to be where medicine was 30 years ago. Rapid or early reaction to failure. Now, here's why I say this. Over the years, I've learned a good way to understand market trends is to follow the money. Starting about 10 years ago, the primary marketing and advertising focus was just beginning to shift from CMMS EAM systems and towards condition monitoring and predictive maintenance products. Today, the majority of commercial promotion in maintenance magazines, conferences, and websites is for predictive type products. When walking through an exhibit hall, I've noticed that most booths are offering some of the same forms of predictive maintenance or condition monitoring, such as vibration analysis, oil analysis, infrared, along with consulting and services on these methods. Of course, there's other offerings as well, but the majority of dollars, the majority of money is spent on promoting predictive products. Let's be clear. I'm not against predictive methods. They're invaluable. They provide maintenance staff with valuable insights and help avoid costly downtime. The fact is, most plants have invested one or more predictive maintenance products, such as vibration analysis. Unfortunately, with the pressures of maintenance professionals face today, the use of these products often boils down to minimizing the impact of failure through early detection. So back in the 70s, medicine was focused on reducing pain, suffering, and loss by improving response. Today, it seems maintenance is in a similar place, and in many cases, reacting to failure has become the accepted norm. In recent discussions, I was told of a maintenance equivalent to Seattle's Medic One program. This plant was very proud. They've reduced downtime by creating 4 specially trained crash teams, providing 24-hour rapid response to equipment failure. Look, in my job, I talk to reliability engineers every single day, day in and day out. That's what I do, and I love it. And it's from these discussions that I found a very important story. I regularly hear of problems and failures related to lubrication. This is firsthand from you guys, from the guys that I talk to. Granted, a few share they don't have these types of problems, and after a few minutes I believe them, because they describe a plant that is taking these foundational issues seriously. But in most cases, when I ask the question, are you having any lubrication-related failures? Most often, the answer is yes. The second question I ask is more for fun. Do you have much reactive maintenance time? It's not unusual for the guy to say to me, and he starts laughing, he says something like, are you kidding me? Of course we do. Multiple studies have shown poor lubrication practices to be the leading cause of equipment failure. Bearing and equipment manufacturers agree. At the 1995 TAPI Engineering Conference, it was reported that 54% of failures were lubrication related. Then in 2014, Ken Bannister's State of the Lubrication Nation report set this figure at 70%. Using data from an earlier study by MIT, Bannister also claimed the annual loss from lubrication was about $1 trillion. Now, the figures may change depending on who's making the claim, but whether the figure is 30%, 54%, or 70%, the cost of lubrication-related failure is far too high. Bannister's State of the Lubrication Nation report also included a detailed survey of lubrication practices. As you can see from the points on this slide, the picture painted wasn't overly attractive. For example, only 12% of lubrication personnel from all industrial sectors are professionally certified. Lubrication is often left to millwrights, electricians, machine operators, or the newest employee. And then, when things get tight, the lube tech is the first to go. The reality is, this information in this report came from you. Now, Bannister's a great editor, and he's really good at putting statistics together in the story. But the fact is, you guys know these problems. Yet, from the facts presented, it would seem lubrication is not emphasized by management. In an online survey by MachineLubrication.com, over 80% of reliability engineers indicated they experienced lubricant starvation. In a live poll in a recent online maintenance conference, over 85% of the respondents saw the correlation between lubrication issues and the level of reactive maintenance. But what matters most is how are lube-related problems affecting you and your company? Do any of these challenges sound familiar to you? Chronic equipment failure, production losses, subpar technician productivity, excessive lube consumption, and higher energy, maintenance, and environmental cost. Considering all of the data, it seems sensible to ask ourselves, are these results really acceptable? If the answer is no, then there's a second question we should ask. Are the currently accepted lubrication practices and control methods really working? And if the answer is no, then it's worth exploring some of the key reasons why. The first major reason is management not recognizing that lubrication is a unique maintenance discipline. Most everyone sees oil analysis and vibration analysis as unique disciplines. They need specific data, tools, training, and software. Yet lubrication is often viewed as simple. You know, a grease gun on a fitting. How hard is that? Oil is oil, right? Management sees that someone is doing lubrication and just assumes all is okay. I read an interesting book, RCM, Gateway to World-Class Maintenance. I thought to myself, man, these guys really know what they're talking about. And I couldn't wait to get to the chapter on lubrication. You want to know something? It wasn't there. The word lubrication wasn't even in the index. The authors even took lubrication for granted. It's time for lubrication to be understood as an important, distinct discipline, also needing its specific data, tools, training, and software. Another reason is not realizing the complexity and detail of the information lubrication requires. There are 5 core data elements used to specify lubrication requirements: components, lubricants, task types, procedures, and frequencies. Interestingly, defining a lubrication requirement of a single conveyor requires 7 different combinations of these elements. And then specifying the lubrication needs across the plant will need between 100 and 200 different combinations of these data elements. Knowing what needs to be done and when is actually very, very complex. CMMS systems may seem like the answer, yet many tell us the thankless job of trying to shoehorn in these details into a PM work order, and it gives them limited capability and made simple changes extremely difficult. Another reason comes from not understanding why the sheer number of lubrication tasks to be performed on an annual basis. You know, with weekly tasks needing 52 visits per year, monthly tasks requiring 12, and so on, you know, once you do the math, the numbers are almost unbelievable. From approximately 70,000 tasks per year for a small plant to over 500,000 for a large plant. I even know of one paper mill that is tracking 720,000 tasks a year. This plant-wide labyrinth of tasks is a logistical nightmare. Now, think about it. Can spreadsheets or PM work orders really give the control and logistics needed to accurately and efficiently keep up with this volume of work? I don't think so. Consider this. With PM work orders and lubrication, management departments regularly deal with many corrective work orders. Now, imagine if your work order system would randomly close some of these work orders each week, even though the work was not completed. Would you let that happen? Of course not. But think about it. This is exactly what happens with PM lubrication work orders. You ever noticed that lubrication work orders are turned in with 100% of the tasks complete? Why is this? Well, it's simple. The lube tech is no fool. He knows the system forces you to clear the entire work order. So random tasks are cleared, even though the work wasn't completed. You lose this critical information, and it compromises control of your work week after week. And the problem compounds, and the larger the plant, the greater the problem. Lube tasks are routinely missed. We know this because this graph represents the diligent work of one engineer that worked with a software tool that allowed lube tasks to be rearranged in a more effective walking sequence. After 9 months, now think about it, it took him 9 months. He was completing 95% of his lubrication tasks each week. I called John and congratulated him. I asked him how he did it. He said he would tell his team to make notes each week on lubrication tasks that weren't in the most efficient walking sequence. He then told them it didn't matter if the task was 10 feet or 2 inches out of sequence. Make a note. Then he would have a meeting at the end of each week using the software, unique drag and drop capability. He kept improving the route until he had achieved 90% goal. Other plants with the same tool report they're completing about 80%. So think about it. If between 5 and 20% of loop tasks are missed with a tool that is specifically designed to make sure you got those tasks, does it make sense that clearing an entire lubrication work order makes sense? It doesn't. Lubrication is the foundation of reliability. Why? Because lubrication is 100% proactive and significantly reduces reactive maintenance. It requires applying the right lubricant at the right time, in the right amount, at the right place, with the right procedure, and with the right control. You have to make sure it's relentless. You have to do it every single day. My suggestion is to view lubrication as an opportunity, not a problem. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money to solve this problem. It's because you already have almost everything needed to make the change and save millions of dollars. You have equipment, staff, and lubricants. What else is needed? Well, first, add lubrication-specific training to increase staff knowledge and best practice skills. Second, provide the needed lubrication tools and equipment. Third, improve your logistics and control of lubrication through a well-designed software program. The increased accuracy, effectiveness, and efficiency of your lubrication program will improve uptime, reduce costs, and improve the bottom line. We have proof of this. There is a plant that's done it with spectacular results. Looking at lowering costs, they started a foundational approach to maintenance that included a host of lubricant practices. They implemented a well-thought-out plan. They understood it was a journey, not a destination. It required a change in their maintenance culture. They created a plan. They introduced the plan and worked it to get buy-in from management down to the lubrication tech. Education and training was the beginning of the change. They started the program small, and they built on each success. The small steps gave them early wins that they could celebrate. They understood they needed to identify every single loop point and reoccurring task in their plant. And that information needed to be in the computer as a separate, searchable data point, not on a spreadsheet or in a text on a PM. They organized their lube room. They started filtering lubricants when they received it from their supplier and again before adding it to their equipment. Employees soon realized the commitment of management, and then they took pride in their work. They felt comfortable bringing their ideas for improvement to management. They invested in color-coded containers, clear grease guns, breathers, filters, sight glasses, all added value. The net result, they gained efficiency. They had a cleaner factory and less mistakes. They added a task-specific lubrication management software system. It helped them establish efficient routes. It was the backbone of the improvements they made. It brought the needed control. They created incredible savings by changing to a proactive mindset that views lubrication as the foundation of reliability. The result, they had a healthy bottom line and real shareholder value. They saved $200,000 after first full year of operating under their new program. This was a small plant. They only had 1,350 lube points. Your opportunity to increase profits is incredible. Do the math. 1,350 lube points, a savings of $148 per lube point. How many lube points in your plant, and how much would you save? This plant's not alone. Here are some additional success stories of plants implementing this foundational approach to maintenance. Let me introduce you to Tammy Needham. She's a welder, and then management decided to put her in charge of lubrication. Soon she realized it was a mess. There was wood shavings soaking up oil all over the plant. The first thing she did was clean up the shavings and put drip pans down. The plant was being charged for hauling off environmental hazard. Now she was getting 50 cents a gallon for used oil. Her software tool had a consumption tracking feature. With it, she was able to identify the leakers. She immediately issued corrective work orders and soon had them all under control. She saved $120,000 a year just on oil purchases. Based on this and other foundational changes she made, the organization deployed her solutions throughout the entire organization. The second plan I've already told you about with the KPI chart. When John emailed me with his results, I called him and asked how many employees he had to hire to get these gains. He told me none. Because he was getting about 50% more efficiency from his lube techs, and he had an outside contractor regularly helping them keep up with lubrication, soon he was able to let the contractor go, and he saved $70,000 a year. The third plant saved $1.9 million. Seeing lubrication as foundational to its reliability, they had a long history of downtime related to failed cam followers. With improved management and control of lubrication, they had zero cam follower failures over the next 10 years. Going back to my follow the money thought, change is on the horizon. A tipping point's coming. It's happening. Not big, but change is happening. But it's starting with desiccant breathers, sight glasses, contamination control, ultrasonic grease guns, cleaning up oil rooms. These can all be classified as proactive and indicate the shift in focus towards prevention. Keep your eye out for it. The more promotion and advertising you see of these solutions, the faster this improvement and important change is going to come. So I really appreciate your time. That's sort of the end of my discussion.
Okay, great. Thank you, Bill. So if anybody has some questions, they can get those typed in there. I did see a couple people were asking. They popped on a little late. We did record this, so we'll have the recording up on our website in just a little bit, so people can access that. If you want me to send you a direct link to it, just shoot me an email. It's just maureen.g@uesystems.com, and I'll happily get that to you. But Bill, that was great. Some really good case study information there. Definitely the proof is in the pudding with this kind of stuff. So if people, are starting down their path towards getting a good lubrication program in, I think they got a lot of good motivation today. So let's see. Here's a question that just came in. How are the savings achieved? Are they primarily by increasing machine uptime or what?
That's the Bannister study, the MIT study by Rabinowitz. And there was a complicated formula that MIT came up with that included all of the above. It included uptime, it included machine productivity, and so that was actually Bannister study.
All right, and what's the biggest money saver? Using less lubrication, or not having failures to begin with?
not having failures to begin with.
Yeah, okay, that was a softball. Okay, let's see. Do you use ultrasound technology to help ensure proper lubrication is achieved?
No, we don't. There's plenty of firms out there that have great offerings on ultrasound technology. Obviously, these new ultrasound grease guns are absolutely incredible, but we don't offer any of those solutions. There's plenty of other folks out there that do.
Yeah, like us. But I think maybe that person was wondering, if some of your customers, if you're finding that they're using ultrasound.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We're finding that's. Let me say this about not just the ultrasound grease guns, because those are relatively new on the horizon, but most people that I talk to are using vibration analysis and ultrasound in their plants in some form or another. It's very common now.
Perfect. And we can certainly be in touch with the folks that are interested in ultrasound for assisting their lubrication programs. So we can get some emails out to you guys on how to do that. Let's see here. Who would you suggest to gain certification from? So for those specifically dealing with lubrication, do you have a recommendation on organizations to be involved with, certifications to achieve?
There are a number of good organizations that if you want to email me, I'll send you a list of them. I know that NORIA has a very good certification program, but I could send you a list of those firms that I would recommend.
All right, perfect. And he's got his email address up there, so everybody take note of that. How do you select lubricants for particular applications? Is that something you have information on?
Well, we don't specifically. That's not our function in life. We're software folks. But if you're familiar with Amri, they have what they call Lube Coach, and believe me, that it's one of the finest tools I've seen. And I can send you the information on how to contact those folks too.
Perfect. Let's see. Do you feel that, wait, hold on a second. Sorry. Oh, okay. Do you feel adequate lubrication can be achieved in an industrial application like a wastewater treatment plant with normal vibration testing, or is it important to also include ultrasound as a complementary technology to that?
Again, I want to be very clear here. I am not an expert in this area and don't want to present myself as an expert. We are experts in software design and implementation, and that's where I'd like to focus my interest, or at least my advice.
Yeah, perfect. And sorry, I was just seeing some of these were coming in. All right, so Bill's got his info up there. People can be in touch with us about questions related to ultrasound and how we're using ultrasound to assist in lubrication. Let me change the screen here back to me. I've got a few closing slides. And we'll be in touch with some of you that were asking some more specific questions geared towards our equipment. But Bill, I want to thank you again for taking the time out today to share this information with us. Hopefully everybody found it to be really useful. Just a couple things in closing. If lubrication is something that's of interest to you, we recently launched our online mechanical inspection and lubrication course. It's a really great training course that you can take at your computer when it's convenient to you, and you don't even have to do it all at once. You can do it, module by module or whenever you have time. So pretty convenient way to get some additional education and training. We've also got our compressed air survey online course, so take a look at that if you're dealing with compressed air as well. We'd love for you to join our UltraProbe users group on LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter. We're always constantly trying to share out as much information, not just about ultrasound, but about all these other topics as well, just reliability in general. So feel free to take part in the conversations that are happening over there on LinkedIn. Great place to get some help from your peers that are out there facing the same challenges as you. And then we'd love for you to head on down to our conferences that we've got coming up in May. We've got our Ultrasound World and Reliable Asset World taking place in beautiful Clearwater Beach, Florida, May 9th through the 12th. Great opportunity to come down here. Lots of case studies on ultrasound programs that people have, but also a whole reliability track where we're talking everything from precision lubrication to starting your path towards a reliability program, leadership, change management, project planning. All those kinds of topics are going to be covered. So we're really excited about those conferences and hope you can make it down there. And with that, I'll leave our contact info up so you can be in touch with us. Like I said, those of you with some additional questions, we'll get in touch with you or get the right people in touch with you. And of course, you had Bill's contact info there for a little while. So we'll let you all go and enjoy the rest of your day. Bill, thanks again to you and everybody. We'll hopefully see you back here next month. We'll have some information out about our next webinar coming out here soon. Thanks again and have a great day.